Welcome to the Friday Power Lunch, a weekly show amplifying the voices of the Virginia grassroots. Each week, we provide engaging conversations about politics, culture, and women making change. Produced by the unstoppable women of Network Nova, our motto is, when we vote, we win. The Friday Power Lunch is recorded before a live Zoom audience. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and show us some love and become a sponsor through Patreon. The Friday Power Lunch. Badass women getting things done.
From Network Nova Live, it's August 9th, 2024, and you are on the Friday Power Lunch. Yes, you are. I'm Katherine White, one of the co-hosts, bringing you the guests, the issues, the actions, fueling the grassroots community across Virginia, like I said, across the nation too, because man, we get things done. We're badasses and we like to do it together. And today we are going to talk about our theme, which is We Choose Freedom. Bold, Black, and fearless women. And we have a room full and guest list. So hold on to your hats and your pants because freedom is on the ballot this election. Freedom to love, choose, vote, and live fearlessly. So I'm so excited to welcome Holli Holliday, one of the formidable badass leaders of WinWithBlackWomen. And she also is president of Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote, and founder of Holliday Advisors. Welcome, Holli, to the room. And LESLIE MEHTA. LESLIE is a Virginia congressional candidate, and today we have her in the room alongside her sister Gloria Witt, Virginia CD5. A shout out to these two women on the ballot. We want to make sure that everybody knows, especially with Kamala on the ballot, this is the time to uplift these women. This is the time we're going to do today to talk about what this moment means to them. And lastly, Jade Harris, who knows about running for office, who knows about being fearless, who has stood up and run in her community. And she's been the first in her community, being on the first, I think, the youngest on city council, I want to say. So she's now the special projects coordinator for Rural Ground Game. Welcome, Jade. Great to see you in the room. And let's get to our power chat with my friend, Fennell Norton. And I have to say, it was so fun seeing you when we did the Gen Z tour down in Virginia Beach, and flounder was on the menu. Both of us had our flounder, and it was so much fun spending time with you. I'm so glad to be back in the room with you.
It was great. So Katherine got hers broiled. I got mine fried, just so you know.
Yeah.
But I can tell
you. And I got broccoli, and you got applesauce.
No, and French fries.
And you got sweet tea, and I got unsweetened tea.
Yeah, there you go. But it was really exciting to be there, and it's really fun, and they were amazing. And to meet Sam in person, it was really inspiring. And it was very, very optimistic. And at the same time, when Senator Kaine had actually did a FaceTime with him that was recorded, it was pretty awesome. And he was so excited. And I think what that says to me is that this is an AN campaign. It is not one generation that will win this campaign. It is everyone. But we are talking about bold and fearless Black women today. And I just wanted to take a minute as we think about this show and set it up to always seep it in history, because there is always historical content for us to think about what we're doing and how we're doing and whose shoulders we stand on. And today I wanted to just stand on the shoulders of Mary McLeod Bethune, because she was pretty amazing. And so when you think about first, she was out of 17 children, she was number 15, the first one to be born out of slavery. She was the first one to actually have a school. The school is now Bethune-Cookman College, but she did that back in 1924. She was 29 years old. And then she was the first one to find a hospital. So there were tons of things that she did. She was just a strategist. And one of the things that she believed was the foundation for enrichment and growth was the 2 B's. And one of them was the ballot, and the other one was education, the book. And so I think that when we have our discussion today, this will tell us exactly what the power of Black women is and what we have to do. And I think we'll also understand how we unify, which I think is going to be an important message.
I agree. And I know that when we were riding around together, you were just jazzed and about talking about history in this moment. And there is those messages even in Beyonce's song of freedom. And I think that's why it's so powerful right in this moment. And you can see, and we'll talk about this today with our guest, our first guest, Holli Holliday, and what an honor it was to talk to her and the way she framed this up. And this unifying feeling where Black women came together as in this coalition and then had been meeting for a long time. It just is just in this moment, it's so powerful. Just really powerful. I don't know what your other thoughts are on that about it. Just speaks boldly of this ticket choice right now, how we're trying to meet this moment of so much hate and vitriol and really supremacy. This is it. This election really is the where we need to win for so many reasons.
Yeah, and I think before we talk about Holli, I want to say two things. One, I want to just talk about the power of stories and art, and just give a shout out to Robin for what she does every single week to frame out the stories that we're trying to tell. And I think today it was just another amazing video compilation from Robin to frame out this important story about freedom and what it means to Black women and what it will mean to all women. So I think that's one of the things I want to say. And then I just think this overall, in terms of how these things happen, we tend to think that they're organic, and Holli will talk about that. But even when it comes to Network Nova, it wasn't organic. You guys have been working at this for a really long time. So just say a bit about how you've been feeling about this work finally coming to a head.
Yeah, it's quite a moment. And I will say, I think it just really got me emotional listening to this song. And I think in the moment for me as a white woman being in this work is being the best is the friendship with you and other women I've met in this movement. And I feel like we're going to talk about this next week and the next coming weeks, how we're coming together to unite in this moment. So I feel like in this 8 years working to this point that we have done the work to get here and built the relationships. But the powerfulness of that moment of really getting real about it and what's at risk, I have to say that's a part that feels like personal growth, and then Kamala is representing that growth of a nation. It's just really kind of represents where we are in this time. I mean, I feel like the hope, the joy, and doing this work and all these people coming forward also gives you that kind of like, ooh, we got this. So, I mean, I'm excited about the lineup. I'm excited what we could do in the room to unite together to make sure that we win. And there's so many reasons for it. So yeah, friend, I'm just really just grateful for you and to work with you, and also to be in community in this room together with the team, Robin, everybody that's up there, Michelle McKinney, and Dennis. I could just name everybody that we're here now and we're ready. Fucking rock and roll. Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right then.
Me, I'm going to throw out an F-bomb.
You just had to do it. So we're going to.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
this is perfect. We're going to bring up
flounder. Let's talk about the F word, flounder. But no, let's go to. Well, one thing I want to say real quick before we get to Holli is let's show the nuggets real quick. Because this is the messaging. If we can, your work is really exciting. People need to order these. Freedom, I can't move. Freedom, these are great. So talk about this real quick, and then we will segue over.
Yes. So these are nuggets that we created because I ran into some folks who did not know who Vice President Harris was, and people can't know what we know. We're in this every single day. So right away, I created some nuggets to get to know Vice President Kamala Harris. And so these are fun ways that you can just pass off to people. The one that's my favorite is to get to know Vice President Kamala Harris. On the back of that nugget is actually a QR code. And when you scan it, it takes you to her website and everything that you ever wanted to know about this phenomenal woman. So nuggets, and there's the information for where you can order them so that you can tell everyone that you know, pass them out everywhere so that they can get to know our future president.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you go to our first guest, Holli Holliday. And awesome. Great to see you, Holli. I'll let you guys discuss. So great to see you.
So welcoming is Holli Holliday. She is a leader in WinWithBlackWomen, which is a collective of Black businesswomen. She's also the president of Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote, and she's the founder of Holliday Advisors. And so we are so happy to have you with us today. And I could probably keep on going with all of the things that you do. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. And I just have to say, Win with Black Women is for all Black women, no matter what you do. Business owners, maybe you're a rock star, whatever you do, we love you. We want you to come and join us.
So let's talk about that for a moment because
Sure.
you guys have been out there for a while. And when we were having this conversation, I said, "Well, is this an organic growth?" And you're like, "No, no, 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 no. This is not organic." So can
Mhm.
we just talk and you gave everybody here a little bit of history about Win with Black Women?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to acknowledge Win with Black Women was founded by Joteka Edie, who is a civil rights activist. She's also a tech professional, investor, and businesswoman in her own right. She reached out to a few friends and said, this election, this is 2020. It's before we're in the presidential primary season. She said, something feels like Black women should be more present. And the President Biden had yet to pick his nominee. He had announced in South Carolina, many of you will remember, a commitment to picking a woman as his VP, which I thought was very brave of him. And I'll say President Biden has a lot of brave moments throughout his career. And we heard Black woman. I don't think he really said that, but that's what we heard. And so we began, a group of folks started pushing the narrative, started meeting with him, asking him if that was what he considered. And ultimately, I think we convinced other people that would be a good idea as well. He wanted, he was like, who should it be? He ultimately picked Vice President Harris. We were behind her from day one. We met the first time August 2nd, so we are celebrating our fourth birthday just recently. And we've been meeting pretty much every Sunday since then. And that's how we got started. I will say we've gone on to do so many more things, but we find ourselves in a full circle moment, coming back to where we began again with the opportunity to uplift and support Vice President Harris.
So when you first started this, you said that you guys, expected how many people, maybe 300, 400. So what?
So let me tell you, so when normally our calls, we have about a little more than 5,000 Black women leaders from across the country normally in our network. And our calls are anywhere from 300 to 400 every Sunday, which isn't bad for a Sunday night. So we said, oh, this one's probably gonna be a little bigger. So maybe we'll get to 800, 900. Little did we know, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty had been on MSNBC that day because we were planning all the changes. You all will recall on July 21st, we went from waking up in the morning, supporting President Biden by after we got out of church, we were now flipping over to Vice President Harris. And we had already planned the call, so we had to make a lot of switches. We were working to reorganize ourselves, and we didn't know about Joyce Beatty's announcement of she didn't say our call exactly, but she alluded to it. And there were enough people who heard it who figured it out because, like I said, we've been going for a while. And next thing you know, everybody wanted to be on the call. We couldn't get on our own call. So we had to make some changes. We worked with Zoom. They helped us out a lot. We ultimately were able to get about 45,000 on the call. However, the real story is the ingenuity of women. Because when we want to be heard, when we want to be in a room, we do not wait for the Zoom to open. We find someone who's on that call. We put it on our own conference call line. We stream it to Clubhouse. We have somebody that has a StreamYard account and they stream it to all the social media channels. We have friends in the room with us and we just put a thing on speaker and let everybody hear. We invite the neighbors over. So we actually think that we ultimately reached over 90,000 people that day 44,000 on the call, but more than 90 that we've been able to track so far. And what's more amazing, and you alluded to it earlier, it just keeps going. It just keeps going, not just for Black women, but for all the people who I think are energized and excited, sure, absolutely, about our candidate, Vice President Harris, but just as much about the freedom, if you excuse the pun, to be joyful in an election and to be hopeful in an election.
So I love that. When we were having the conversation, can you tell folks what you mean by viral time?
Oh, so as we were doing this, I say this to our team. I said, there's our time and then there's viral time now. And I didn't know what viral time was, but viral time is you're on the call, you're preparing for your show, you've done all the things, everybody's ready. And then you look up and you get to 1,000 people and you still have people. And then you say, okay, well, we can go up to 3,000 people. And 3,000 people blows by in like 2 minutes. And you're like, well, maybe we can get to 5,000. You get to 5,000, and then you say, well, I think we can afford, because we're going on the back end making these time. I think we can get to 10,000. 10,000 blows by so fast we can't even blink. And ultimately, we were able to make some contacts with Zoom and open our line up to 50,000. And when I tell you, when we got to 40, when we hit the 40,000 mark, we were like, oh, this is a different call.
Yeah, it is. And
And
so
it was viral time, absolutely.
it is viral time. So we're gonna have to we're gonna keep finding that spot, that viral time. But I do want to go back and talk about this because this is one of the things that you and I share in terms of how we feel about President Biden. And
Yeah.
I do sort of want you, because people have heard my perspective, I want to hear how you felt when you first heard the news. Like what came over you? What did you think before we got to the moment that we're at right now?
I mean, initially, I had to have a little moment of sadness around the president stepping down. I feel like, personally, I think that I think it was his time because of what I understand now. But at that time, I was very saddened that we had allowed things to get so far. And it really just shows how we have got to not be vessels that sow seeds of division and hate. But I will say Biden is a smart cookie, because I think he saw the future well before any of us did. And he had made plans for this possibility. He already had the election financing account set up for a very smooth transition. She was able to immediately, we were able to raise $1.5 million on the call because on a Sunday, they were able to flip their financing to accept donations. So by the time, because we were not going to donate into a Biden for president campaign, they had already flipped it to Harris for president. And that is because President Biden had already put that in the works for that to happen. And so he was very clear in his choice, and he was very clear in making sure that the transition to her would be smooth and easy. And I think we were prepared. We didn't know all of that at the time, but we were prepared because of the work that we had been doing. I say to people all the time, um, you know, don't sleep on President Biden. I don't care what the rumors have said. He is not missing a trick. He is a political veteran, and he's a political veteran who cares about our democracy and cares about our humanity. And he shows that in not only the big ways, but the little ways.
Yeah, I could not agree more. We had a lesson from Miss Margaret last week in the after chat
Yeah.
about making sure that we respect and show our appreciation for a president who has saved us more than once. And so I love that. I wanted you to share that. I want to go back though to Win with Black Women and
Yes.
some of the work that you all have done in
Yeah.
terms of supporting women and causes and things. And we had a lot of discussion about that. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness. Well, it definitely started with our vice president. The minute she was announced, we had a 10-hour telethon of Black women for 10 hours. It's still up on our YouTube channel. You can check it out, or I think it's definitely on the Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote YouTube channel. 10 hours of different notable Black women leaders from around the country coming on and talking about where they were at that moment, how it made them feel. And we knew that was our precursor to this moment. But in between those moments, we have done a lot. We have participated in helping to support the nomination of now Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. We participated in advocating for the release of Brittany Griner. We continually track and help and support Black women who've been nominated to the federal bench. As you all probably know, that process can be very arduous and they just come after you in crazy ways. And we've seen up close and personal what happens on that Judiciary Committee, especially from the Republican side. They can be quite brutal. So we are always supportive of that process. Hey, we even have fun because fun's important. So we've been fortunate enough to also see a rise in people who are starting businesses. So we've been supportive of that. And even movies. We say we support Black women on screen, behind the screens, and buying screens. And in fact, I will say, at a time when everyone was on strike, no one was able to do promotion. Win with Black Women and our Black women-centered organizations partnered with OWN and Oprah Winfrey, and we were able to do probably more. I don't know if we hit the record, but we came pretty close in terms of theater buyouts at a time when they didn't think the film was going to do well, partly because there was very little opportunity to promote. We were like, we don't need no freaking promotion. We are our own promotion. And we got out there and bought screens and even for other films like Origin, which originally was slated to have what they call a limited release.
Mhm.
We bought so many screens that we pushed it into wide market release, and it was released in every market the way a normal release would be. And so, it doesn't take everybody, but it does take some committed folks. And I'm really excited to be a part of Win with Black Women and the commitment that they show.
And I loved it when you talked about Haley Bailey in terms of the Little Mermaid. So tell us
Oh
a
my
little bit about
goodness.
that.
Little Mermaid was another thing. Actually, Holly Berry's mom is part of our collective. So these things all kind of come together. And so she was able to share with us a little bit of the struggle and unfortunately some of the negative things that were being said about a Black woman portraying an iconic Disney character. And so we knew that we had to stand up. And so not only did we do theater buyouts, but for that one, we purposely targeted children to come. And man, did they come. I hosted one myself in my hometown of Kansas City, Missouri, and to see the little girls in their tutus and their little mermaid shirts, and there was a point during the movie where they got up and they just twirled and twirled and twirled in the aisles, and it was just amazing and awesome. And again, another opportunity to support not just the Black woman you saw on camera, but what's amazing about the films that we've been supporting is that they're also crucial leadership roles that Black women are playing behind the camera, which makes us buying screens really powerful.
So we also talked a little bit about, and I love this about the work that you guys, what you're actually designed to do, and it's really to be this comfortable place for people to come to. And you talked about it you being unapologetic for that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I think it's given people the courage to be unapologetic in their space. And I hope that spaces like ours, and let's face it, this one too, allows people to find those spaces. I mean, here's the thing. everybody wants to be able to be seen and valued in the way in which they choose to define themselves, not the way others choose. And you know what that's called? That's like humanity. That is what real respect looks like. Respect isn't about patronism, it's about kindness. And so, what one of the key values that we have is we respect Black women like you. We gather in a space where we did, gathered in a space where we had conversation, where we shared information, and when we talked about what could we do to make things better. And I tell people now that, this Kamala moment, we were ready for it because we had a plan. We've been preparing for 4 years as we've done all these other activities together and activations. And now we're very certain we will win. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go on record and say my real goal is not just to win. I want a complete smackdown. I want to win in a way that has the Republican questioning whether or not they should be sending and supporting the kind of people who don't value other people. I'm not trying to get rid of Republicans. I just want them to be better. I want to have someone, I worked on the Hill in the 90s, and I remember having lunch with Republicans to discuss issues. That doesn't happen anymore. I just want to have people represented by people who respect other people so we can get back to figuring out the business of the American people.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Sometimes it's sort of, and this is what I love about this campaign, and this is what I love about this conversation with you. It is just regular talk. And I think
Yeah,
sometimes the conversations tend to be, way up here when everybody else is way down here. And so, in terms of just speaking in a way that's kind, in terms
yeah,
of what you see, and I do think that this whole joyful warrior, in terms of, I think who we all are, this is who we want to be. We want to be kind to each other. This whole mean thing, this whole mean person thing is just
yeah,
not hitting very well. And I think that
that's right.
what I think about this election is that Republicans will vote not because they're Republicans or even not because you're Democrat, but because you want to have more humanity in the spaces that we all live in. And I
Yeah,
wanted,
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah, I love that. I had a mentor early in my career who shared with me. He used to say, "Hope trumps." This was before Trump ran, by the way. Hope trumps fear, unless hope is not an option. And I think that if we always lean into the opportunity to give people hope, to talk about what's possible, and to not scare them, and to not go to our baser instincts, we win every time. And if you think about it historically, for Democrats, that's true. I mean, Obama, hope. Clinton, hope. Carter, hope. Dukakis,
Mhm.
much hope as we needed. And when we play to our fear and we allow fear to be the leading narrative, there's no way we can win. And I'll tell you, I've run more than 1,000 campaigns and been involved in more than 1,000 campaigns in my life, which I know is a lot. But every campaign where we've been able to help people understand that our candidates are about hope, where that message has connected with them, has been a winner. I've not lost one hope campaign yet. I've won a few on fear as well, but way more on hope. And, frankly, that's the winning formula.
Yeah, and I think we all can see that we're talking joyful warrior. This is
Yeah.
where we are. And I think we can spread a lot more of that. And I do think it makes conversations with folks who have Republican family members. I think it's a much easier conversation to have. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is you talked about Jateka and you said this was a love letter to ourselves. And so talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
Listen, we have to love each other first. We have to love ourselves first. And Joteka has a kind of brilliance where she acknowledges that we're not on these calls Sunday nights at 8:30 before we have to go to work, after we put the kids down. after we've kicked the husband or partner out, just to have a little peace, right? We do it for ourselves, and we do it as a way to love on ourselves. We start every meeting with inspiration. We end every meeting with inspiration. Why? Because we want to remind people that regardless of what we may do together, if we don't love ourselves first, we are not going to be as powerful as we can be. It is important. And my ultimate goal absolutely is to make sure that we have Vice President Harris in the White House. But more importantly than having her in the White House, I want to change the way we do business, the way we do politics. I don't think this idea, which is based in supremacy, that it is a win at all cost, that we sacrifice everything to achieve one thing, is ridiculous. Power is abundant, and it's time for us to start acting like that. And so we always center humanity and winning are a winning combination. You cannot do one, you should not do one without the other. And frankly, a short-term win at all costs is not worth the long-term win that you get when you value people and winning in equal, and if I don't say, actually more measure when you value people, but definitely equal measure. Winning and humanity go together.
So finally, I want to talk a little bit about this. And so this is where I want us to sort of take this is in terms of this Win with Black Women. We've had the white women, we've had the white dudes, we've had the deadheads, we've had the everybody. So how do we make sure that everyone is included? How do we unify so that, because we can't win without each other. We know this, the math doesn't allow us to. So tell me your thoughts about that.
We need, in my mind, for the smackdown to occur. And I hope, and I see from the chat that a lot of people are with me on the SmackDown. So if you're on the SmackDown team, we need to have 90 million plus people vote for her. There were 160 million people who voted in 2020. Hopefully we'll have more than that this time. But I say at least 90 SmackDown reporting for duty. 90 plus million people need to vote. That's a whole lot of people. That means there is room for every freaking body. Every freaking body can get somebody and add to our total. That's what we need. Ultimately, I'll give you a little preview. I think we're going to be coordinating a Allies United event. When we unite, we win event. And so there'll be an opportunity for us to all come together. But it starts with us first defining and empowering our community. Because as I said, you are most powerful when you are loved. So find your love space, organize your love space first, and then you'll be ready to join the allies. Don't start with the allies though, because we want you to come to the ally spot fully ready, fully loved, highly valued, and you do that by really finding your own space first.
That is pretty awesome. Holli Holliday, thank you so much. Win with Black Women. Katherine, is there anything that you wanted to say to Holli? I know you're a fangirl too.
I'm ready. I know. Ready for the SmackDown team. I love what you're talking about. And this is where Fennell and I have been talking the last couple of weeks about the uniting part. So I'm really glad you ended with that. And I want to say that I want to share with everybody that the event we'll be doing on August 25th, we have Women's Equality Week coming up. Holli, maybe you guys could be part of this. For Virginia, we're trying to concentrate, especially on Leslie Mehta and Gloria Witt that are coming up. This is the time in Virginia where we can, and across the nation, we can really build our coalition bigger. But this is Empowered Women Rally the Vote. And this is going to be really exciting to kick off this week of women's equality. And I think with just kind of this excitement, we just keep building this momentum. We're not stopping, keeping the joy, keeping this going. And I think there's just so much movement. So sign up. We'll put the link in there. And thank you, Holly, for just really reminding of us just how important the relationship is, the sisterhood is, and the love is. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
I love
Holly.
that you're doing that event, because it's not just about what's at the top. If we don't get all the people in between, from between where you sit in your living room all the way up to her, then we're not doing her the best service we can do, and ourselves. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Stay in. I hope you could stay with us in the after chat. If not, we understand. I know you guys, everybody is busy. And let's move on. And thank you for now. I'm really excited to bring up Leslie Mehta from Virginia Congressional District 1 and Gloria Witt, Virginia Congressional District 5. And Gloria, hey, Leslie, good to see you. Great to see you. And bring up Gloria. Good to see you. I know that she was in the back of her van, but Gloria, I want to show you that a little butterfly landed on me while we were talking. You got your butterfly. So we'll talk about that, the butterfly effect, a little bit. But first, welcome. So how I want to do this is introduce the room to this moment. You both came on my mind when I went to a Biden for Harris brunch, the 100-day out action that the campaign put out. And I was in an amazing room in Loudoun where there must have been 50 or 60 women of color, Black women come together. And in Loudoun in one room, that's really powerful. And I said to a lot of women in the room, I go, do you know there's 2 women on the ticket? Like, do you know in Virginia, you're in Virginia? They had no, I realized that we had a lot of educating to do about the excitement around Kamala Harris, really now elevating maybe what we could do in Virginia in your district, and just saying to you both, when we talk about bold and fearless and stepping up in these areas are really red, and some of them, especially in Gloria's district, hostile. Maybe we got craziness. So let's just start. I want to start with CD1. We'll start with Leslie Mehta. Introduce yourself, and let's talk about, and then we'll get to Gloria and let her introduce herself. And then I want to talk about what this moment means to you.
Sure. So thank you for allowing me to be here again. I appreciate it. I did want to say hi to Holly too. I've been on some of those Win with Black Women calls, and she and Win with Black Women have given us an opportunity to speak there as well, and I appreciate it. Just a little bit about me. I'm a lawyer. I've practiced for 20 years. I'm the former legal director of the ACLU of Virginia. And I've done a lot of policy work with Abigail Spanberger and others, Democrats and Republicans, as I I did that in a personal capacity because my oldest daughter, Brooke, passed away from a rare disease in 2021. And I started doing more work with rare disease legislation on the federal level. Everyone I asked to sign on did so, Democrats and Republicans, except Rob Whitman, who is the incumbent in this seat, which is, you would think it's a low-hanging fruit. I often say Republican kids get sick too. I saw in the comments someone mention about the layout of the first district. It is the northern neck, Westmoreland County, down to Williamsburg, and the western parts of Henrico and Chesterfield, which are the Richmond suburbs. And it's a very large district, 18 counties and cities. We're on the road all the time, and we're pretty excited about that. And I just want to, Katherine, push back just a little bit about this being an incredibly red district. We know that with Henrico and Chesterfield now, the Richmond suburbs, yes, this district is a lot more doable. Henrico and Chesterfield are 45% of this new district. And we know that this is the first presidential test of this new district. And it's exciting. And not only do we know that it can be flipped, Rob Whitman and Republicans have marked this race for them a crucial race to keep. That's how much they know that this district can be flipped. And the day after I won my primary with 67% of the vote, the next day, Rob Whitman put up signs in Henrico in places that he had not done before. So we know that this district is very exciting and can be flipped, but we need you guys' help to be able to get it done.
No, I'm so glad you did the pushback. I want to get to Gloria real quick because Like you said, before redistricting, hard to win. We've been softening this area, especially in CD5 and where Gloria is, and we'll talk to her now. We've tried to make some inroads there and tried it in CD1, but there is now opportunity. We've looked at these districts. There's voters there. And with the presidential, like you said, there is opportunities to flip these districts. So Gloria, introduce yourself to the room. I'm so excited you're here. And again, let's talk about what this moment, we'll go circle back to talk about what the moment means to you, but introduce yourself and your district.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katherine, and to the Friday Power Lunch team for providing this wonderful opportunity. I'm Gloria Witt. I represent District 5, and I was born and raised in Amherst County, Virginia, on a small farm. I have come to the conclusion that I kind of represent District 5. District 5 is a very rural area. It's proclaimed to be staunchly conservative. I too believe that it's flippable if we can get all of our Democrats and swing some independents over to a smackdown so that we win this seat to help Kamala and Walz out in Congress. So it's been an exciting time being caught up in the tornado of Kamala and her team, the movement and the lift that Holli's organization gave on that Sunday night when those 40,000 women joined. I happen to be one of them, and it was an amazing thing to witness. And it's just ballooned from there. But I believe it's flippable. I'm learning a lot on the campaign trail, 11,000 square miles, Leslie, and 24 counties and localities to cover. So I agree with you. We are on the road and nothing's going to stop.
Let me just make sure something right now. Some people in the chat said they're having a hard time hearing you. I hear you, but so try to speak up and make sure we go again. Let's talk about, we'll just start with you when it talks about this moment. And I went to get my butterfly because the butterfly means a lot to me too. And I talk about I love what you talked about in the green room, the butterfly effect of this moment.
Thanks for that question. As I have covered the district, I know I'm up against a staunch red district. I know that campaign fundraising is going to be a challenge, but I also recognize the power of the butterfly effect. And so I've begun lifting up and creating a conversation around the power of the butterfly effect. When a mass group of butterflies get together and flutter their wings, they create great energy that can create a storm or a tornado even. And to me, this is tornado time. We cannot afford to lose this seat. So I'm basically challenging everybody. Every single person in the district has the power to spark change. And I need people to understand what the issues are and to control the narrative and become a butterfly. So that's what it's all about, because we have enough force together to win this thing. So that's what the butterfly is about. And I ask people to be the butterfly, talk about the issues and lift it up.
Yeah. And so Leslie, now and talking about this moment for you, I know like you've been on the call, like you said, with Holly, and what has this been for you? How has it kind of changed things also?
Well, I want to reiterate a little bit of what Holly said too. One of the things when I found out that President Biden was stepping down, one of the first things I thought about was this was a George Washington kind of moment. It was him recognizing that for the sake of the whole country, not his personal ambitions, but for the sake of the country, he would step down and elevate Kamala Harris. And so that was incredibly heartwarming to me to be able to hear that. And I've seen a lot of the enthusiasm as we go across the district. People are excited. People are ready to support. We've gotten in our district a lot of signups for volunteering as well because of that. And folks are really interested in being able to do this, not just for the history making for Kamala Harris and the fact that she has been doing this work for a very long time as a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, all of those things. But for our country and what that means, and personally, as someone who is a Howard Law grad, I love to see that from my Howard sister too.
That's pretty exciting. I can't imagine. I know that, we talked about, some of the strange stuff that, they have said about her not being Black. That whole conversation was just so, like we say, weird and strange. And, that pointing out, it was even hard, a discussion to even want to get into. But yes, she went to Howard, all these great things about her.
Can I just say one thing about that too?
Yes,
because
please,
that really got under my skin.
I bet it did.
My husband is East Indian. So our girls, the one who passed away, of course, and my other daughter, who's now almost 5, they're Black and Indian. And so really that bothered me a lot, because to say that she's not part of the heritage, she's not part of my background, because she also shares the background for my husband, it really bothered me a lot. And
yes.
As a Black woman, and people trying to discount you and lesser you and make you feel that you're not good enough or you're not this or that because of that, and really trying to bait Black women into not supporting her, that bothered me a lot.
I can't imagine something. Like I said, the conversation and what that journalist conversation was just beyond bizarre, but something that we've seen going on, this kind of race baiting forever. So for Gloria, and a lot of people may not know your district in the sense who you're running against. They just had Bob Good, who was there, who was crazy enough and part of their insurrection. Now you have John McGuire running against. So how is this in this moment for you? And 30-year career about you've had and where you are in your life. I know for me, thinking about having a woman be president is very exciting. Have a woman of color, just amazing and historical. What has it meant for you? I mean, in your lifetime, where, when you're thinking about this moment?
Well, I thought, I didn't honestly believe it would ever happen in my lifetime. I did not think the country was ready for it. And so when the transition happened, I was like, oh my goodness, will white men vote for her? That was my biggest concern. But then it happened. The very same day, Holly had that phone call and money started pouring in, and it was a butterfly effect. And I said, oh yeah, we got this. We got this. And then the white dudes jumped in, and then she started talking about freedom. And I was like, she is singing my song, because I started this race because I knew our rights and freedoms were under attack, and I was not going to sit this one out. I was going to fight for my granddaughters and my daughters and future generations. And now it's like this recognition that, it's at the core of this whole battle, the fight for freedom. Whether it is women's reproductive rights, whether it's to love and marry who you choose, whether it's even religious freedom. I have come to the conclusion over the last couple of weeks that Christian nationalism not only hijacked Jesus, but they also taken away our right to religious freedom, the premise of what this country is built on. And we will not let that happen. I will not go back. So I'm ready to fight. I'm looking for a smackdown. And John McGuire, get ready.
Get ready. Well, I know we want to get Jade Harris on next from Rural Ground Game. And why I really wanted to have Jade on is this organization, what we're hoping will bring a lot to your districts, and get into action. So please make sure you put in the chat how people can join. Your phone banks, your postcarding. We are going to surround you with as much support as we can. This is a moment we can make in Virginia because you stood up even before all this that happened. Just that ability to stand up in these districts, amazing. So thank you so much. And if you can stick around a few minutes after 1, I'm sure some people would like to talk to you. So thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Gloria. So great. Let's just get right into Jade. I know we're getting up, so I want to make sure we give her 8 minutes of fame and wonderful stuff to say. Welcome as in Rural Ground Game's new special project coordinator, but we know you as just a wonderful young woman who stepped up to run and support her community and then ran for Senate recently. So you've been in the face of fear, facing a lot and fearless. So welcome. And so tell us about right now what's on your mind, especially after hearing this whole show.
Okay. Where are you? Hi, everybody. Am I muted? Can you hear me?
No, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you to everyone at Friday Power Lunch for having me on. And thank you to everyone who's attending right now. It's a really powerful moment, and it's really cool to be on this call with these great Black women. I mean, Holly, Gloria, Leslie, it's so awesome to be here. And Gloria, I'm in Lynchburg right now, so hi, 5th District. But yeah, this is a really, really pivotal moment in our politics and in our nation. And we've got an opportunity here to make history. And it's incredibly exciting to be a part of it and do what we can to, add to the moment, add to the momentum, and put in the work that we've already been doing. But to have it have this kind of outcome, that's just incredible. So I'm really excited for November. I'm pumped. Everyone around me is pumped. This is incredible.
Yeah, for Rural Ground Game, talk about what you're doing for them now, because as it relates to what you see happening in these districts, more people stepping up to volunteer. And I think that your policy director, Lindley, said that there's also something going on that is more Black women calling up and wanting to join and figure out, in these districts, they want to get involved. What are you seeing that's different or new, or the enthusiasm?
I'm seeing a lot of new enthusiasm. I'm seeing a lot of people wanting to get involved in all kinds of different ways. Of course, we know everyone has different strengths. So not everybody is going to be a great phone banker, but hey, they might be a really good person-to-person canvasser. Or in this special project case that I'm working on right now, they might want to talk to people that they're more friendly with, their neighbors, their loved ones, just people in their community. And we're going to be actually facilitating that here at Rural Ground Game with the Storytellers Project. So this is a really dynamic effort to talk to our friends, neighbors, community members about the 2024 election and how it's going to relate to them personally. And we're going to take those conversations and we're going to use them to craft messaging beyond just the Team Blue or Team Red discourse. This election is about real issues affecting real people. So some of you may be wondering, how do we do that? Our storytellers are going to be talking to those aforementioned friends, neighbors, and community members, and they're going to be filming them with something that I'm pretty sure you all have access to in your pockets right now, smartphones. So these conversations are going to be in the form of interviews about education, veterans issues, labors, and more, with a particular focus on how Project 2025 is going to impact those fields and thus our interviewees' personal lives. Right now, we've been hearing a lot of conversations about how bad Project 2025 is. Part of the thing that we need to do is to continue tying this to President Trump, former President Trump, never going to be president again, President Trump, and making sure people know this is his plan. Project 2025 was drafted by over 200 members of his administration. Like, this has Trump written all over it. Everybody knows it's bad. We need to make sure we're connecting it to him and letting them know, hey, if this guy gets elected, this is what's going to happen. So our storytellers are going to be working not just with their smartphones, but with special equipment that Rural Ground Game is providing. There's going to be microphones, tripods, and more. They're also going to have access to training from our partner at the Video Activist Academy, Chuck Moran. Super cool guy. I don't know if he's on this call, but he's excellent. So once our storytellers interview their subjects, and some of them already have, they'll submit their material to us and to our incredible partner, Matthew Pickett. And those videos are going to be edited into 30 to 60-second advertisements. These are going to be digital, televised as well. They're going to be on platforms like Hulu, YouTube ads. We're even discussing getting them up at gas stations. I know some of you have seen where gas stations now have little screens in the pumps. That's a captive audience right there. So we hope to have our first ad ready to broadcast by the time of the DNC. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Let's see, what did I do? I pressed something that I should not have pressed.
I could still see you and all. I love that. And I love the gas station idea where you're getting these shown. And for the DNC, where you'll be able to have them like shown at the actual event, do you think? Or do you mean the convention? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just talking about having
Sorry.
them ready by that point.
Oh, got it. I love it. And how about then talking about some other parts of this is storytelling, which is really important. I mean, you can also talk about how people can get involved with that. But there are other kind of initiatives you'll be doing. Are you doing billboards in these certain districts? Let's just say that Gloria's in and some like Ken Mitchell's in 6 or some really good rural areas that you guys can make a lot of. Are you feeling the energy to really kind of really get this? There's a lot of voters out there that need to be reached. So what else, what other campaigns do you have on your mind?
Oh yeah, we're definitely doing billboards. There's a lot of enthusiasm, even in these super red districts. I mean, we have already had a billboard up in CD6 against Ben Klein. It was up in Rockbridge County. It was super cool. It hit him on the head. That's kind of the effort that we want to be putting forward. There's all kinds of avenues that we're approaching this from, which is super exciting. But getting back to like the Storytellers Project, I do want to give a little shout out to our current storytellers. So we've got them in congressional districts 2, 5, 6, and 9 right now. And I want to extend a special thank you to Chuck, Matthew, Panal, Isaac, Randall, Jennifer, Kendall, Stephanie Clark, and Stephanie Wilkinson, Melody, Jean, and Joanna. Some of them are on this call right now. So hi, guys. But yeah, by talking to our communities, by being good neighbors, we're going to help support Democrats up and down the ballot and hold Republicans accountable. If you want to get involved in this, I'm going to share a link to the Storyteller Project webpage. It's got ways to volunteer if you want to, hey, tell your story on camera. That's one way you can definitely volunteer, and we'll get you connected with a storyteller. You can read more about the project there. You can watch a super cute unboxing video of all the equipment we send out and basically just support the project.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so excited that you'll be with Rural Ground Game. It's really a perfect fit and opportunity. And so thank you for coming today. And if you could stick around in the after chat a few minutes, I know you're outside probably that Hurricane Debbie, is it done with Lynchburg, or is it creating rain, or is it gone?
Well, I'm in Lynchburg right now. It's very sunny. I don't see any more rain. I drove along the river to get here from Glasgow, and the river's up, but it hasn't flooded over, so we're happy.
That's good. Well, great. Thank you, Jade, for being here. And folks, if you want to find out more about the storytelling, follow Jade's advice, look in the chat and do that up. And let's end up, Fennell, come on up, because I want to tell everybody such an important thing before we get to the after chat. Robin, if you can show the early vote material, that would be awesome. We want to make sure this is something that we really feel like it's important to winning, and winning big, like the 90 million Holli Holliday said, early voting. And we are pushing this. We've pushed it a couple years ago. This is not new to us, but we really are saying now, early voting day 1, we really want everybody in this room to host an event. It could be on that Friday, for instance, in Virginia, we start September 20th, Pennsylvania, September 15th. Everybody has a different start date, but what we're saying to everybody, do early voting, talk to voters about why it's important to vote early. We have yard signs, we have postcards program around it, we have phone banks around it. But more importantly, what we want to see y'all do is organize an event on the early voting day. And this will be a referendum, actually, but it's also, it's also making sure that the campaigns then can concentrate on on other voters. So what do you say, Fennell? I know you have some really strong opinions around this.
I do. And I do think it's really important to let folks know why it's so important to early vote, to bank those votes. But folks who live in rural areas like I do, sometimes it's not that easy. It might be a 25-minute drive to get to early voting. So when you sort of help them understand that this is an action that they can take that truly makes a difference, because they are freeing up capacity for other volunteers to work on other things. And I think when we sort of let them know that, it's important. And you can also fill up your own car and take a load of people to vote on day 1. So this is a really big deal. And we will have the start of our Million Women Call, where we call women up and remind them to vote on day 1.
Vote early and vote on day one. And I know that very first early vote is going to be important. We do have great early vote resources. They're good looking. Dennis Orsinger has made beautiful yard signs. And it really is so important because it's a great, I was on a call last night, just talking to people. It's just talking about voting, and it's a really easy conversation. So I hope everybody will put Stair has made it so you can do your own event and put it on the action map. So when people log in, they'll see, oh, Katherine has an event in Fairfax at 4:00 and a happy hour, right? So we're going to have a lot of fun with it too. So in sense of wrap up, before we go to the after chat, is there anything that you want to talk about and wrapping up this show?
No, I don't. Are you going to tell them what's going to happen next week, or you want me to do it?
You go ahead and do that. Yes.
So we know that people have been flooding to volunteer for the Harris campaign, over 170,000 volunteers. We have a host on this show, Carrie Short, who loves managing volunteers. And so she knows everything about it, what's passionate, what makes them happy, how you can keep them going. And so next week, Carrie is going to be hosting part of the show that talks about volunteerism and what you can do, how you can help support our volunteers to make sure that they are energized and that they are used at their capacity and that they feel really, really good about the work that they're doing. So don't miss it.
Yeah, and I want to say that Wisconsin really is important. And one of our Ann Kamen, who's always on top of it, says that there's a primary Tuesday, August 30th. We will put a link in there. You can sign up to help call voters around that, because the Republicans are always up to tricks and they put something on the ballot that we want to make sure that we get people out to vote, so we can sort of make sure people understand they're trying some nonsense to get something in Wisconsin on the ballot. We'll talk about that in the after chat, but I do want to call attention to it. Also in Virginia, we know our governor has done an executive order around voting to this election security stuff. We need to pay attention to this. Sign up to be a poll worker, sign up to work on elections, because I think state to state Republicans are going to have this. It's going to be a hand combat battle. It's going to be at the ballot box, and it's going to be about our election security. Our own governor is just been a lousy person around this. I hate to say it. And so I am a bit calling that to your attention. With that said, thank you so much to Holli Holliday for being here today. We appreciate her and the organization with Win with Black Women, and also Jade Harris of Royal Ground Game, and Gloria Witt and Leslie Mehta. Thank you so much, candidates. Get behind these women. Let's make sure that they win. Let's go to the after chat. Thank you to the team, Network Nova. Join us. See you on the other side. Let's go.